or above average or very above average, some orange over parts of the Great Lakes region in the upper Midwest. But notice that there isn't really much blue on the map here to indicate that we were, say, below average in any area.
The one area that really sticks out, 10 to 20 degrees above average, that's the upper Midwest. They've seen just this record heat, temperatures feeling more like spring when we were in sort of the peak of winter in some instances, allowing people to break out the golf clubs early, even put in above ground pools, underground pools. So it's certainly, it's been a weird winter thus far, and we're in meteorological spring at this point, but astronomical spring coming right around the corner.
Yes, that's less than a week or so away, but we're watching back towards, say, winter, because a lot of the areas that you talked about, especially the upper Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, this is coming in as their temperatures, were departing well over normal from what is expected, and they're actually looking at, say, probably their first winter being so warm so far.
Yeah, the areas highlighted in maroon in that last graphic, 9 degrees above average for what they typically see this time of year. So we've got Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and then that Great Lakes did not have as much ice cover, record lows for the ice cover, so it also allowed a little more lake effect snow to continue to churn out
later in the season.
Exactly.
And we saw also some record temperatures too. When we look at some of the top 10 warmest, more than 102, or more than 100 cities, I should say, saw their top 10 warmest so far this winter, and 67 saw their warmest on record. So that's saying a lot too. Still mainly confined up towards, say, the upper Great Lakes. This was the graphic that I was referencing, where we got areas like Minnesota, Iowa, back towards, say, Wisconsin. This is their first warmest winter ever.
And then we have the areas in red, the second warmest that they've seen for an entire winter season. And that seems to be sort of the trend here, as NOAA is actually giving 2024 a pretty good chance at being the hottest year on record. And that's coming on the tails of 2023, which globally was the hottest year.
Yeah, it's remarkable to see. Certainly something that we'll have to keep a close eye on. Of course, this may be a part of the bigger picture here of, the Earth, the globe warming at a really fast trend, but it's certainly something that we'll keep a close eye on.
Definitely has a lot of folks wondering, is this the new normal?
Right.
But don't get too comfortable, though, because we do have that shift in the pattern going to bring a last little burst of cold air to folks across the upper Midwest and even the Northeast, so we'll watch that as well. But spring severe season is just now getting started, and we are eyeing some severe storm potential for the southern plains later this week. So let's dive into it, because it was the southern plains that was the bullseye for a lot of that severe weather last week, where Monday through Friday, even Saturday, all featured at least some level of severe weather threat. So we'll take you over towards Austin, Texas. This is my hometown, and notice how beautiful it is. Over the course of Monday, we do have some clouds in the sky, but overall, pretty comfortable weather. But unfortunately, things are going to start to change as we get to the middle and later part of this week, as we have a new storm system. It's going to start off across the west on Tuesday, bringing snow to portions of the Cascades. Then that jets through the Rockies, and we'll see a significant snow situation for portions of Denver, who've been just eagerly awaiting a decent snowstorm. And all of that energy then takes a ride on the jet and will spark up that severe storm threat. And we're looking at very similar areas as last week. So Dallas, Fort Worth, Texarkana, Austin, Texas under this. And then finally, towards the weekend, all of that rain makes its way up in towards the Northeast, which could make for, in some cities, the fourth weekend in a row that we feature rain. Unfortunately, I know it's a lot of times people want to go and enjoy the weather, especially with how unseasonably warm it's going to be across I-95. Enjoy it during the work week. Take those extra long lunch breaks if you can, because all that rain's coming. But this is a breakdown of that severe storm threat for Thursday. Currently at a level 2 out of 5, looking at that potential here for all types of severe weather, from damaging winds, a few brief spin-ups in the form of tornadoes, and hail. Although it's going to be that hail and wind threat that poses more of a significant threat here and more widespread. And as I mentioned, I pointed out Austin. So that's the capital of Texas, Waco, Dallas, Ardmore, over to Texarkana, Shreveport, and even Alexandria. So these are the areas highlighted for severe weather. However, all of this rain is going to continue to linger throughout the weekend for the I-10 and I-20 corridors, and going to lead to a potential for flash flooding. So we look at that future radar here as well. Friday, 11 a.m., look at all that rain still draping across I-10 through portions of Louisiana and even into Mississippi. And this is a part of the country that's already seen so much rain yet this year. which certainly did wonders for the drought conditions that we were highlighting over the summer for the southeast and the southern plains. But now Mother Nature is giving them a little too much. So we have a likely threat from Dallas over to Texarkana, Little Rock over to Memphis, the Mississippi Delta, and that will be true for Thursday and Friday. And then that threat shifts just a little farther down towards the south to locations such as Alexandria, Hattiesburg, Jackson, Birmingham, even nearing the Atlanta metro, which we saw a video just last week where they had 3 inches of rain in around a 12-hour period, which led to significant flooding and widespread impacts, even some high water rescues. So here's that forecast in terms of how much rain they're going to see. But that big swath of 2 to 3 inches, we have all of that warm, moist air in place, and a lot of water in the atmosphere that's going to be able to have those thunderstorms tap into it to then create quite a bit of rain. But notice 3 to as much as 5 inches across I-20 as it pushes just towards the north of Jackson. Those will be the locations we'll watch especially close for significant flooding threats as we head throughout the next few days, Kiana. But flooding has been a hot topic over the course of the past few weeks.
Absolutely, and we're actually going to take it back to Texas very quickly. Not so much for the severe weather threat, but it's just the reason that, we're talking about them. The fact that the Lone Star State has been amongst one of the states here that are the highest for flooding, or at least the risk for flooding.
FEMA releasing a new analysis which revealed that Texas annually sees the most losses due to flooding. New Jersey and Louisiana take second and third spot in that category. FEMA defines the expected annual loss as the average damage in dollars to buildings, population, as well as agriculture.
And Alaska, as well as several other interior states of the lower 48, rank the bottom tier when it comes to communities that have been seeing annual flood events. But say you're looking for some home insurance, and now is the perfect time to do so, being as though we're about to enter into the spring severe season. I want to take you through a little bit of an idea here. When it comes to FEMA, they said that the most expensive state for flooding insurance is Connecticut, with the average cost of insurance just under $1,600. And then the annual cheaper state is going to be Alabama, where the average price there is about $500 per year.
It's really interesting facts, Kiana, when we think about the states most prone to flooding.
Absolutely.
But if you look at the map, it kind of makes sense meteorologically. We're talking Texas, Louisiana. We have all that moisture from the Gulf, and we see significant flooding impacts from hurricanes that make their way into the Gulf there. But then we also take it up across the Mississippi River, which is known to swell when we see all of the rain that is plaguing the southern states, especially when we talk El Nino year.
I was going to say, when we think it back to El Nino year, a lot of this season alone has given us a clear depiction of what we can expect. I mean, our lows are coming in off of the West Coast, and that track takes it right across the Southeast in areas that are shaded in the darkest of the green. So these are areas that have unfortunately fall victim of that flooding concern across the region. When we look at a couple of other areas here, you'll notice that California tops the list for reports, taking you back to the El Nino track. When we look at areas like Louisiana and Texas, as you mentioned, 2 hot spots when it comes to the hurricane season.
Yeah, California this year, especially Southern California, with all the atmospheric river systems, when you get 1, 2, category 3 or greater atmospheric rivers that come through, can truly create some catastrophic damage, especially when you talk the terrain in California.
Oh, yeah.
All the mountainous terrain, the mudslides, the landslides. That's a really big impact for folks across the Golden State. And for now, these are the flash